There we go. There we go. I think we are live. Hello, everybody. Hello, and come on in. Find you a seat near the front. We are going to do some best under five here today. Best under five is the review show where my buddy Black Belt Chris and I, we take a look at movies that have less than 4.9 or lower on IMDb. That's what we look at, and that's what we talk about. And we've got an exciting one. This was a Chris pick for this episode. So this one's on you, Chris. But you know what?
Nice.
I'm not nearly as salty as I was on what was it, Shark Exorcist?
Shark Exorcist. Well, see, I could have tortured us, and we could have gone to some of this straight to DVD, straight to streaming stuff. But I thought, I'm not going to do that to the audience.
Well, we're not ruling that out because you and I both kind of have a bit of a fondness for
that's true.
Skull straight to DVDs.
That is true. Yes, we have a fondness for the trash where his stunt doubles get more screen time than he does, and he spends more time sitting than he does standing.
All right. Well, welcome in, everybody. I want to welcome our always stalwart champion of the show, Kathleen, to the chat. Anybody who's out there in watching land, we welcome you to come into the chat, be part of the discussion. We'd love to hear your takes on today's topic, which is, we've alluded to it, some Steven Seagal. It is On Deadly Ground, which is from 1994, I think. You'd think I would have been prepared.
Yes, 94.
Yep, 94. I have it on my second screen here. I'm ready to go. 1994, On Deadly Ground, Steven Seagal, Michael Caine, John C. McGinley, R. Lee Emery, Billy Bob Thornton, Richard Hamilton. This movie is stacked. Joan Chen, I believe our boy Sven Ola Thorson is in there. Yes. There's a lot.
I think he gets more screen time in this movie than he does in all of his other movies combined.
You may be right. We've been put a challenge already in the chat. Kathleen says this better be a good episode because she woke up from a nap for this. You know what, Kathleen? As much as I have faith in myself and my partner Chris here, I just go back to sleep if I were you. All right. But while you're here, welcome to Best Under Five. Best Under Five, like I said, we're going to take a look at On Deadly Ground today. As a 4.6 on IMDb. Chris and I are going to talk about it. He usually digs up some trivia. He alluded to the fact that he's got a good amount of trivia for me on this episode. So we're looking forward to that segment. We're going to give our thoughts on it. We're going to take a look at see what some of the Rotten Tomatoes reviewers had to say. Do we agree? Do we disagree? At the end, I will rack and stack it and see where it falls on my list for our season 2. Basically our next batch of 10 here at Best Under Five. See where it ranks on my list. And Chris, I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. This was a hard one for me to list.
I'm as you mentioned it, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, okay,
where
would I put this? I gotta look at the list now. I definitely know it's not going at the top, but
just
it's going to be in the top half, I think.
Just think about it because just I guess sort of an overall, 100,000 foot view or 10,000, whatever the proper term is, the big overarching view, like there is a fair amount of entertainment here. Sometimes, intentional, sometimes unintentional. This is one of those weird ones, folks. I have a lot to say on both sides, on the pro and the con. There's a lot I like about it. And there's a lot I don't like about it. But anyway, let me do a real quick. I'm going to read from the little description that I have on my Plex, which I think is scraped from IMDb. It says Forrest Taft, and if you're going to be an environmentalist, your name needs to be Forrest, Chris.
That's of course.
Requirement. Forrest Taft is an environmental agent who works for the Aegis Oil Company in Alaska. Aegis Oil's corrupt CEO is the kind of person who doesn't care whether or not oil spills into the ocean or onto the land, just as long as it's making money for him. That is the synopsis. So let's get into it. On Deadly Ground. Chris, where do you want to start, man? What are your thoughts? What are your overall thoughts?
Cow. I got quite a few thoughts on this one.
I do too. I don't know where to start. There's so many directions.
I remember seeing this in theaters when I was, it was 94, so I would have been in college, and up to that point, I had seen everything he had put out: Above the Law, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Under Siege, Out for Justice, all that.
I would pause you right there. I think it's important for us to do this on this episode. What's your number one Seagal movie? Which one's your favorite?
Oh, good Lord. Sadly, I'm not going to say Under Siege.
Me neither. It's not my favorite. I mean, I like it, but it's not my favorite.
Is a toss-up between Hard to Kill or Marked for Death.
It's Marked for Death for me.
And Out for Justice would round out the top 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. Marked for Death is my number 1, hands down. It's got Keith David.
Yes. That is why I'm like, you got Hard to Kill's the first one I ever saw, at least in the theaters. And here's a wild story behind that one. I saw it when we were out on a trip to Chanute Air Force Base in Illinois with my Boy Scout troop.
Nice.
I'm thinking, okay, it's like, wow, how have times changed?
That's a good point.
My dad and a couple of the other adult leaders now, all the other adult leaders, the 3 kids that went, it was all of their sons. They're like, they said, it's like, yeah, what the heck, let's do it. let's take them out to see this.
Well, voodoo murder mystery for everyone. Whatever.
Well,
right?
all the rest of them are playing at the Y. The 3 of us are over with our dads watching Hard to Kill. I'm sorry, Hard to Kill at the local movie theater.
Well, I love it. But we've talked about sort of the crest of his career. This is one of his like tail end of the theatrical Seagal.
I thought the same. I thought the same thing, and then I looked it up because when you have, I actually wrote all this down. You've got Out for Justice, Above the Law, Hard to Kill. Actually, I think it was Above the Law first, but then Out for Justice, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Under Siege, then this one, On Deadly Ground.
And then Fire Down Below.
Then no, actually, it was Under Siege 2, Glimmer Man, Fire Down Below, The Patriot, and Exit Wounds. See, I thought this had fallen towards the bottom half there. Like kind of right in line with Fire Down Below, so it's almost dead center.
Yeah, but this is the beginning of the end.
Yes, exactly. In my research, some of the articles I found said, this was this started his downhill slide. But funny enough, it's the only one of his major theater releases that is rated at 4.6, or actually even under 5. All the rest of them came in 5.2 or higher, with Under Siege being the highest at, I think, 6.2, 6.4.
No, man, Under Siege is an 8. Hey, Kathy in the chat says, by the way, her number 1 is Under Siege because she likes him in the uniform. She's a uniform gal. That's all right. Well, awesome. Anyway, I derailed you by getting to talk about Seagal. You were going to give your overall thoughts, so please proceed.
Well, I did see this in the theaters when it came out, because in '94, of course, I'm all, it's like, oh yeah, Seagal. And, I walked out of that going, man, this really wasn't that great. And, rewatching it now, I was thinking, okay, yeah, there's the action sequences are pretty good.
Yeah, not bad. They're not bad.
The proselytizing he gets to with the environmentalism gets a little ham-fisted.
No.
And cheesy.
No.
And the highlight of this, I think, this movie is John C. McGinley and Michael Caine. Not Seagal. It's McGinley and Caine, in my opinion.
Caine is like, he's paychecking it up, but like he still has a standard. Yes. Like Michael Caine, even when he's mailing it in, it still has a standard. And like he is as evil as I've ever seen him. Like everything he does is evil. There's no nuance. You got Michael Caine, you think you'd give it some nuance, but they don't. He is 100% evil all the time.
Well, he's committed. He probably read the script and go, yep, I'm just going to be a dick for this whole movie. There's no wavering on this.
Which begs the question. This is part of the movie that bothers me. One of the parts that bothers me the most, but bothers me is this sort of implied that he and Forrest have had a friendship for a while. How did it take Forrest this long to figure out that what's his name? Michael. His name was Michael. Michael's evil.
I was thinking that same thing when I was watching this earlier this week. It had been kind of in the back of my mind, but watching it this week, and actually, really paying attention to it, I thought, wait a minute. They've known each other for years and years and years, apparently, and he's just now figuring this out. It's like, dude, are you blind?
Yeah, dude's a bad dude, man. He's a bad dude. But yeah, Michael Caine is great. McGinley's great. We mentioned earlier, all the pieces around this is great. I mean, we have Arlie Ermy, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's great. Billy Bob Thornton is in this.
And that's before we came live. That was the one. And I was wondering if you would pick up on that because, and we'll get to how god awful his lines are later. I'd always wondered, like, who is this guy delivering these craptastic lines? And so then I went to Google and did some digging, and it finally popped up. I'm like, oh my God, that is why he looks and sounds so stinking familiar. It's Billy Bob Thornton.
This is a star on the rise, Billy Bob Thornton. I think the only thing I remember seeing him in before this was Tombstone.
Was this before or after Tombstone?
This was after. Tombstone was 93.
Okay.
Sure. I think this was a year later. So, yeah. So, I want to take a moment, since we're doing our overall look at this movie, and because I've alluded to the fact that I'm sort of split on it. There are things that I like, and you mentioned it too, Chris. The fight scenes in here are good. They are of the quality of a Seagal movie that you would want. All right, the hand-to-hand combat, the more militaristic commando stuff, which is more towards the end,
Yep.
Gunplay and whatnot. It all looks good. The sets look good. The on-location stuff is gorgeous.
Yeah, I made a mention of that in my notes. Is the on-location stuff, everything in Alaska, showcasing the Alaskan wilderness in the background. Absolutely fantastic.
It makes me think that this movie could have wholeheartedly succeeded with maybe two different paths. One of which, I don't think Seagal needed to direct it. I think having another director who could rein in certain things. Because, all right, let me just tell you right off the bat.
Yes.
The thing that bothers me the most, but I laugh every time. Like, it's entertaining when it bothers me. I laugh every time, dude.
Okay.
No matter what, if you do nothing else when you watch this movie, don't pay attention to any of the dialogue that the main character is saying. Listen to what the off-screen background characters are saying. It's always like when Susie shows up at the beginning to put out the fire at the rig. You don't even see it's off screen. You hear these voices. Oh, thank God, Forrest is here. Forrest is man. Forrest is gonna save us all, right? And then like in the bar, it's like Forrest is gonna kick this guy's butt. Forrest is a badass. Oh man, Forrest is so cool. And like it's like, what? Why do we need all this extra off-screen dialogue to let us know how great our hero is? That is 100%
pump himself up.
Yes, it's 100% Seagal pumping himself up using like ADR background voices, and it just cracks me up every time.
Oh, speaking of background people, Michael Jai White makes an appearance in this movie.
Oh, I missed it. I love him.
I didn't know it. As I was watching it right before the show, I should have tried to pick him out, but apparently he is in the background somewhere at the I think it's at the beginning when Forrest shows up to the oil rig. He's in the background there somewhere, and I thought, no way.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah, and speaking of the oil rig, I think the moment you realize that Steven Seagal is going to run unchecked and it's going to get ridiculous is at the oil rig when he uses an explosion to stop the explosion. And he does like the biggest, like, cool guys don't look at explosions moment in all of moviedom.
Yep.
Like it is such he's like, I'm going to have this hero shot of this big explosion. I'm not even going to look back and be so cool. It's like, oh my gosh, it was played out by 94 already. And it was the most over top version I've ever seen. So, okay, I was talking about two paths. So one path, if he doesn't direct himself and someone reels him in a bit, I think this could have been better. And I think it would have had a better legacy. I mean, I think it would have been one of your more Midland, it would have been over 5 on IMDb. It would have been that other one. I think that would have helped it. The other thing I think is that, and this might be recency goggles on, but Seagal catches a lot of flack, especially in modern times, because he seems to desperately want to be part of cultures that he's like, I don't know what Steven Seagal's actual ethnic background is. And I don't care. I don't judge people for being interested in wanting to be in other cultures. But Seagal like wants to be taken very seriously as Japanese sometimes. And he wants to be taken very seriously as a blues musician sometimes. And he wants to be taken very seriously as sort of a Creole guy sometimes. And he goes all in on these personas. It's not like I just have an interest in this. You know, there's plenty of guys like, you know, I love reading about samurai culture and all that stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with a white guy being interested in samurai culture, but he adopts deeper than anybody else. And he's doing it here too. He's very much trying to sort of adopt himself into Native American culture, which, you know, some actors can get away with. And again, this might be recency glasses because this is kind of what he's internet famous for now, is having these personas. And this feels like another one. It feels like, can he play Native American? And look at the poster. It's, if you guys are watching the live version, you can see physically, he can. He can.
I would believe it. I would believe it.
But let me ask you this. What if they made this same movie, right? But it doesn't have Steven Seagal in it. It stars like Sonny, was it Landham?
Sonny Landham, yeah.
Yeah. What if it stars him? And he never gets to play a good guy, by the way.
He never plays a good guy. But
like if he did, I think that'd be kind of a cool movie. Like a Sonny Landham action picture. Because as far as I know, I believe Sonny Landham is legit Native American.
I believe he is. I'll go you one better. Wes Studi.
Wes Studi. Yeah, Wes Studi's great.
I would totally buy him in this role.
Why not? Why not? You know, now those people would bring a different hand-to-hand combat because Steve Seagal is very, you know, still very Aikido and all this. So anyway, those are my two thoughts. But while I'm on Steven Seagal's hand-to-hand combat, I want to ask you, kind of pick your brain on your thoughts, because again, I'm very split. This whole movie splits me on the opening fight scene in the bar where he fights Mental from Dumb and Dumber, amongst other people.
Yeah.
I am split on this. There are some things I like very much about it. There are some things I'm a little about it. What are your thoughts on that fight? And then we'll come back to, if you don't cover what I'm thinking, we'll come back to me.
Well, as in with any Steven Seagal movie, especially if you go into these movies with somebody with a martial arts background, you're like, okay, this is all a bunch of, you know, to quote Homer Simpson, bull plop.
What?
And some of it actually works. See, the funny thing is, you know, he always talks up Aikido, but the reality is, I didn't find this out doing research for this movie, but his background it's a little bit of Aikido, I believe a little bit of Wing Chun and a couple other styles. And most of what you see him use is, I believe, the Wing Chun. And, you know, with the, you know, joint locks and the striking and the way he's always, you know, slapping people's hands away and stuff and hitting them with back fist, or not even back fist, just the backhand. That is very much Wing Chun.
A little redirection of energy is what I think of when I think of
that part is definitely very much Aikido.
Right. I knew Kathy couldn't help herself in the chat, by the way. It's just everybody Wang Chung tonight is what she put. I knew it was gonna happen. I'm sorry. Go back to you, Chris.
Aikido is one of those things where you got to have a willing partner, or you've got to get him moving before you could do any of that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Seagal, not just in this movie, but overall, I think what you're getting at is it very much relies on accommodating stuntmen who are more than willing to let that energy be moved in one direction. You have to almost like let the energy move you. They're not giving them a ton of resistance.
Well, a lot of it is you either move with it or you get a broken bone. I mean, that's true. A lot of Aikido and Judo relies on. It's like, well, you go with this, or you're going to have a dislocated shoulder or a broken elbow or a broken wrist. It's the pain factor that, you know, gets you moving with that kind of stuff. So, and I know because I've had it done to me. You and I both have a fairly extensive martial arts backgrounds.
I'm always hesitant though to be a big like a lot of people just jump all over Steven Seagal. It's fake and it's fake, and I think, as you were kind of pointing out, well, there's movie stuff, but I think there's legit stuff in there as well. I think Steven Seagal's kind of a mix, and I think it's a mixed bag. If we're honest with ourselves, you know, who's sort of aged more gracefully from this genre is Van Damme. Like Van Damme is still pretty well thought about to this day. And if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of what Van Damme did that was eye appealing, very balletic, it looks great, but you wouldn't use it in a street fight, right?
No.
So
well, and he's also like Michael Jai White. He's a legit martial artist and legit. Well, I shouldn't say. I mean, Seagal's a legit martial artist, but Seagal, Jai White, and Van Damme even more so because both of them were fighters before they got into movies. And I've seen a video by a martial artist guy. I think it's Jesse Enkamp. He travels the world. He visits with martial artists. Now he actually met with met with Seagal not quite a few years ago, a few years ago or so, and trained with him. And they did a little sparring, on the mat and working out. And that is when you get to see the legit martial arts part of Steven Seagal, not the flashy stuff that you see on screen. Because what he does, in the right situation, or if you're not trying to jazz it up for the camera, it works to a degree, or some of it works to a degree, and then some of it, yes, it definitely works, and it'll put you in the hurt locker.
I've always thought that was almost the appeal of Seagal, is in a time when things were very flashy. Van Damme's a more flashy guy. Seagal seemed so much more grounded. I mean, as a kid watching it seemed like it felt more is the real stuff, right? Because it's like we said, it's a lot of redirection of energy and joint locks and stuff like that. So anyway, Chris and I, neither one of us know Steven Seagal. We can't say for sure what, a lot of people crap on him. I think with anything else, the truth is in the middle. I think he knows. I think he has some good martial arts training. But I think you made a great point, Chris.
I will never say he doesn't have good martial arts training. He does, because I have seen videos of him outside of the demonstrations, like I said, with this guy Jesse Enkamp, and I'm like, he definitely knows his stuff.
This is my hypothesis, and it's just a hypothesis, but I'm going to compare him to maybe one of the greatest of all time, which is Chuck Norris. It feels like Chuck did tournaments and combat tournaments a lot. Like, he is the real deal. Chuck Norris is no joke. Like, there's a lot of Chuck Norris jokes, because he's an icon and all that, but like,
right.
But they're all very flattering because he's an icon. Chuck became a world-class martial artist and then got into movies. Steven feels to me like he was a pretty good martial artist who got into movies and then leaned into movie martial arts kind of after that. See what I'm saying? Like, let's say Chuck went in at a skill level on 1 to 100 at 100, and then he started making movies. It feels like Steven went in at a 1 to 100 scale, maybe at a 60, and just kind of movied it out from there. You see what I'm saying?
I'd kind of agree with that.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of Jarrod and Chris
dissecting Steven Seagal here. We dissect this movie.
Bottom line, Chris, I am a well-trained. I've been a combat instructor for many years. I'm a combat veteran. If you were like, you want to fight Seagal tomorrow? No, I don't.
Oh yeah, I would say no. I would definitely say
no. He's just dangerous enough. I mean, heck, I don't want to fight anybody, to be honest with you, but he's just dangerous enough. Right. I'm just like, no, I'm good.
The best fight is the one you avoid.
Let's wait another 15 years when he's much older. Wait a minute, crap, I'm gonna be older too. Anyway, back to the barroom.
Right. Well, hold on. Let's start here with some trivia and stuff, and then we can really dig into this thing. So it opened February 18th, 1994, on top, opening weekend. The top 5 were On Deadly Ground, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Blue Chips, Blank Check, and Reality Bites. I only recognize 3 of those.
I know most of those movies, but you're telling me this opened over Ace Ventura?
Yes, I think at that time, Ace Ventura, I think it was 9 weeks in. So that makes sense.
Okay. It had been in theaters for a while.
Yeah,
I was going to say, because Ace Ventura was like hot.
No. This wasn't like the week after Ace Ventura came out. This is like 2 months into its run.
Yeah, they did drop it in February, which is a month where you drop stuff that you kind of like.
Hey, honey, guess what we're doing for Valentine's Day? We're going to see Steven Seagal
on Deadly Ground, baby.
But the budget was $50 million and it grossed $38 million. And this was his start of his slide into direct-to-DVD movies, even though it was kind of in the middle of his, movie stardom, or I should say theater run movies.
And I'm going to interrupt you because I interrupt you at everything you say. But you made an offhand comment I think is important just in the grand scheme of movies. You said it had a $50 million budget. It made 38 million, right?
Mhm.
Which, like, you look at that and you go, that's terrible. They lost 12 million bucks, right? I guarantee you this movie made money because of the secondary market, because of the DVD
Yes.
market and the
Yes.
rental market. I guarantee you it made money. And that is the weird thing about the cinema market these days is there is no secondary market anymore. You either make it in the theater.
True. That's true.
You might make a little, I don't know what percentage or cuts they get in digital streaming, but I guarantee you it is not like it was when they were selling VHS tapes, DVDs, and rental stores. You had thousands and thousands of rental stores, so you're already selling thousands and thousands of copies, even if they each just buy one. Like, the market is so weird. I'm sorry. That's my Jarrod's overall perspective about how interesting it is that a movie can quote unquote lose money, but still make money from this era.
Make it. Yeah. Yeah. So the trivia we got. So apparently, the little diatribe we get at the end, his 7 minutes of environmental talk.
Lord, save me.
He filmed almost 40 minutes of that, and it made it into the final cut for screening. And it was cut after the test screenings were a disaster. Apparently, audience members booed, laughed, and made obscene gestures at the screen.
40 minutes? Oh,
yeah,
my
40 minutes. Like, no one's going to sit through that.
It was already too long at like 7. Like, it just went on and on.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna I got to interrupt everything you say. That's a rule. To me, the thing that's interesting about this is that this movie came out in 94 and environmentalism was definitely blossoming. Captain Planet was a big cartoon in the early 90s.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
There was more, like, if you watch a lot of movies from the 90s, you're going to see a lot more environmental heroes for the environment, which I don't have a problem with. I'm all about treating the environment well as well. My question to you, Chris, and without us getting too, we're not a political show, but, like, do you think this movie would do better if it came out now? Where like the environmental movement, I think, maybe even stronger now than it was.
It definitely is. I don't 94. Know if it would do better. I think if they reframed the messaging, it probably would, because it comes across with a lot of movies in the 90s, and you still get a lot of it today. Sometimes the message is very ham-fisted, and it's it's like, okay, we got to beat you over the head with this because you can't infer anything.
Yeah, this movie
which is kind of what we got with this one.
That is some of my problem without going too deep into it with modern Hollywood, is I feel like there's a lot of ham-fisted messaging. And so I think you're right. I think this will kind of play the same way. I think certain people would love it, and certain people would be like this. Back in 94, everybody thought it was ham-fisted messaging. It was so heavy. It was like, again, Chris, I talked about how Seagal, just his persona seems to want to absorb other personas. He's almost like a man with no persona of his own, but he's absorbing others. And like, this was like, I think he was hoping this would be a turning point for him, that he would become a environmentalist icon, even though deep down, I don't think that's who he is.
Because after this, the reality is he did 2 more movies that were somewhat, well, one definitely, Fire Down Below, and you could probably argue that The Patriot was somewhat environmentally centered.
Maybe he did have a part of inside of his heart that was big on this, and just couldn't find a good outlet for it. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
I think it would have been done better. So let's see. We got we've already mentioned Sven-Ole Thorsen. Apparently, he met the producer and director Seagal on the set, and Seagal asked Thorsen to kick him, wanting to see what Thorsen was capable of. Thorsen hesitantly kicked Seagal, who caught his leg and threw him to the ground. Seagal then asked Thorsen to try again, giving it his best shot. Thorsen kicked Seagal as fast and as hard as he could, and Seagal fell to the ground.
Why would you do that? Sven's no joke. I would not invite him to come at me full speed.
I know. I'm like, I'm not going to... I know how to absorb punches, kicks. I don't like absorbing kicks. I never did when I would spar in tournaments and, in class. Like, it sucks.
Right.
There's no way I'm going to tell somebody, hey, kick me full power in the groins.
Kick me in the Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to channel my inner buzz cut from Beavis and Butthead. So apparently, when shooting this cabin fight a day or two later, Seagal hit Thorson in the throat, knocking him unconscious for 3 or 4 seconds. So when he goes down in that cabin fight scene, he goes down because Seagal knocked him out.
Yeah, I've heard that Seagal was kind of quote unquote bad about not pulling punches. Like, how do I phrase this? Because like Jackie Chan doesn't pull punches, but his stunt team is like so professional, they know exactly what to do. And there's accidents, but I've heard that Steven Seagal's a little too accident prone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I have heard a lot of that.
I mean,
pretty
you
rough
hear that
on
rumor so many times, you start to believe it. I can't
and then you
say
start watching his movies, and I can sit there and watch his movies, and I go, "Yep, he actually got hit. Yeah, he actually got hit. Oh, that had to hurt.
That guy got hit for real."
Yeah.
And again, if Steven Seagal called me tomorrow and said, "I'd love to be on one of your shows," I'd love to have him on. It'd be a great honor. So I don't want to. I just want to say maybe reckless. Maybe he's a little more reckless. Is what we've heard. Again, we're not experts. This is just stuff that we've heard. We're not casting aspersions, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I thought there was a part where I was like, man, it looks like Sven really took a hit there.
He did.
I mean, he broke Sean Connery's wrist when he was training Connery for Never Say Never Again. It was his wrist or his arm. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
True story.
So we do have. I'll get to this a little bit. We do have a James Bond and Star Wars connection with this movie.
I can't wait to get there.
So casting, we got Sir Anthony Hopkins and Alan Rickman were wanted for the role of Michael Jennings before Kane stepped in. I'm like, whoa,
can't go wrong with any of those.
I could see either one of them. The one I have a hard time seeing was the guy that was originally cast that Kane replaced, Jeremy Irons. I was like, he's a little too smooth.
He did good in Die Hard 3,
Oh, he did, but I'm just like, I could see Rickman and Hopkins, but Irons, he'd probably be third on my list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy just sticking with Michael Caine.
Yeah, oh yeah. Caine was good. Henry Rollins was considered for the role of Magruder.
He would have been good.
I can totally see that. I could totally see that.
All you need for that part is like just a bombastic guy who's like, man, he was like just so annoyed that he just really wants to kill this guy.
That's Rollins. But according to Rollins, he had no interest in the role at all, but his agent insisted he meet with Seagal. Rollins found Seagal to be ridiculous and full of himself, but also intimidating. I'm thinking that is, I've never met Seagal, but that, from what I've read and seen, that seems like a fair assessment.
Yeah.
This one I found amusing. So I think somebody was trying to be funny on IMDb. Steven Seagal fights a bear in one scene. Today, Seagal weighs as much as an actual bear, according to the Russian government.
Forgot about the bear fight.
Yes. Actually, wasn't he giving it a bear hug?
Something. It was, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was.
Well, we got to the sort of the more gray area of the movie.
Yes. Now for the Star Wars and James Bond connection. The guy directing the commercial that Kane is starring in for his oil company,
right,
is Irvin Kershner.
Okay. Say no more. I've got your Bond and your Star Wars cover.
Yep.
I thought he looked familiar. Okay, so he's the director of Never Say Never Again and Empire Strikes Back. And he knew Seagal from Never Say Never Again because Seagal was the fight choreographer, or at least trainer.
Okay. I was wondering how that came about, and I did not know that.
Kathy in the chat reminds everybody that only Jason fights bears. If you listen to our show, Action Film Face Off, we keep promising that Jason's going to fight a bear in an episode. Hasn't happened yet, though. Anyway. What else you got? Are you out?
I am out though. That was it. The big one there was that really surprised me was the Star Wars and Never Say Never Again James Bond connection. I go, no stinking way.
I did not realize that was Irvin Kershner. So
I didn't either.
Like I had that vibe. I was like, I feel like I've seen this guy before, but there you go.
Yeah.
All comes full circle, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, we can sit here for hours and nitpick this movie, but like, I love it in the beginning. Like you said, everybody knows who Forrest is.
Oh, everybody.
And I'm kind of laughing because I'm thinking, I think in the real world, and now I've never worked on an oil rig. I've never seen guys do this, but I'm pretty sure if you're trying to get explosives in the place to, blow out a well, blow out a fire on a well, you're not just going to be waltzing in there in what amounts to a heavy duty Tyvek suit and a corrugated metal heat shield.
You gotta work with what you got.
I guess so. And he arrives on scene in such a Hollywood fashion too.
Oh my goodness. Again, just listen to the off-camera dialogue. It is hilarious and entertaining. You're just like, oh, Steven, you were really still trying to sell some Steven on this one. And maybe that's why the film doesn't work. Maybe it's because there's a lot of Steven trying to sell Steven while at the same time trying to come off as the environmentalist message. It's, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then you get to the bar again. Everybody knows him, except apparently these 3 or 4 guys that are sitting with Mike Starr around that table. And I'm thinking, how is it you guys don't know who this guy is, and you're dumb enough to pick a fight with him?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we started a long time ago. I was talking about that barroom fight. There was one thing I really liked about it. There was one really cool move where like he did like front kick a guy right in the crotch about as hard as he could, and then he back fisted him on the back of the head as he was falling down forward. And that was a pretty cool little move.
Yeah. The only two, actually it should be one because he did it twice. The only thing I have that I take issue with in that bar fight scene, because he throws those joint locks around, he's throwing those guys again. That's a case of you either go with that joint lock or way he's moving you, or you're going to end up with a broken arm, broken wrist kind of thing. And the kicks and the punches. The one thing I have a problem with is when he takes the lasso off the wall and basically ropes the guy around the neck. I'm like, yeah, you're not going to go flying like that. You're going to end up on the ground rolling around in a circle, a la, Curly from the Three Stooges.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm of two minds too of the quote unquote discussion that he has with the guy when they start slap fighting. Like, the guy's like, I can change, and I was like, for this, half of me says this feels hokey and dumb, but the other half is like, is this a refreshing change from what we see in all the other action movies that sort of led up to this? Like an actual teaching moment around the violence?
Now, see, I think that I just thought of something here now that you mentioned it. That scene would have come off better if he had left the bar and then, say, come back at the end of the movie and the guy was there and came up and started a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I think then it would have come off better.
Yeah, I think you may be right. I think that does work better. Yeah. On Deadly Ground, man, it's just full of stuff you can pick apart.
Oh, I have a feeling that Seagal had a hand in writing some of these lines too.
No.
Like what was it? Kane says, "I'll have all the Eskimos and environmentalists probing every orifice in my body for the next 2 weeks." Like, what?
Pretty sure Seagal included a sex scene for himself in there. Oh my goodness!
And Seagal always has this habit, and I think doesn't do this until, I want to say, Hard to Kill is what he starts as. He always talks up the fact that he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He's a quote unquote pacifist, whatever, but yet he's still out there kicking everybody's butt. He doesn't seem remorseful for it at all.
But, well, to be fair, that's like Jackie Chan in 80% of his movies. I don't want no trouble. I don't want trouble. Jackie never wants trouble. But boy, does he deal it out.
But yet he starts it.
He deals it out, boy.
Yes.
So, yeah. In the end, I am so split on this film, on Deadly Ground. Because I could definitely, honestly, when I watched this movie a few months ago for the first time, by the way. And then you picked it.
No way.
And I rewatched it this week. I kind of watched it. I was kind of doing an art project and it was playing here on my second screen. I was kind of listening and looking, kind of glancing. when it got to the end, I don't think I made it all the way through the final speech. I think I was like, yeah, okay, it's
like, okay, I'm checking out.
Check. I'm done. I could see why that left such a bad taste in the mouth of what otherwise is a slightly above average little action flick. Really, I mean, it's no worse than any of the other sort of middle of the road action flicks of the era. I think that last 7 minutes hurt it bad.
Yeah, you're probably right. And looking at the reviews on IMDb, a lot of people mention the lecture at the end. That's what kind of brings this down.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so weird because it is so heavy-handed, and maybe it just doesn't fit his personality right. But I mean, there are enough folks who are huge champions of the environmentalist movement that you would think would love that. But I think even those folks are like, this is too much. I think so. Yeah. I mean, my brother, the other half of Action Film Face Off, he works in the environmental department of the state of Washington.
Okay.
Like he believes heavily in this stuff. But I'm confident that he would be like, man, that last 7 minutes was rough. I am confident he would say that.
Next time you talk to him, you need to ask him because I'd be very curious to see.
I will put down a crisp $20 bill, but he's going to say something like, well, I appreciate the message, but I think that's how it's going to start.
Well, he wouldn't be. I mean, to be honest, he wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah, no,
the message is right, but man, it's rough. It's rough.
It's too long. It doesn't fit his personality. It feels like it feels more like Steven Seagal is trying to adopt a personality onto himself that doesn't fit. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
By the way, this movie might get my Jarrod Albrigh's Oscar, it wouldn't be called an Oscar, it'd be called a Jarrod nomination for worst hair dye job for Michael Caine, maybe ever. Like, that was questionable. I don't know why they just let him use regular hair. They dyed it like black.
Yeah, they should have just let him stay gray or whatever it was. Like the dude looks good in gray when his hair's gray or black or brown.
It's Michael Caine.
I'm not sure what his natural hair color is.
The only thing I can think is, like, behind the scenes, he was like, I want my hair to be dyed jet black. Like, he thought it would be fun. You know, if that's the case, then whatever. Because it is like, you're looking at it like, why is his hair so black? It's crazy.
And I love it in the middle of the movie when, you know, it's the start of the second act, you know, where Forrest gets, you know, framed, you know, so they can blow him up and kill him. And I'm thinking, you know, it is obviously a mannequin getting blown out there, you know, out of the edges of that fireball. But I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, you know, here we have another action movie sin where you have enough dynamite there to take down a building 10 times the size of that shack. And he would be a red mist.
Well, you know. Oh my goodness!
You know, when you watch these things as a teenager and a kid, you're like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then when you watch them as an adult, you sometimes you're like, "Okay, this is cool," and other times like, "Good God, this is absurd."
Yeah. You know, especially after a military career, when you see certain things in movies, like. My favorite is like when a guy in a movie gets hit by a 50 caliber round and he's like, oh man, I caught a bullet. I'm like,
shakes it off.
You should be in two pieces.
You're right. You should be like Jack Black in The Jackal. Your arm would be missing.
Just gone. Yeah. You know, the best movie I've ever seen to pick that properly would be that fourth Rambo flick when he gets on that 50 cal at the end and just starts mowing people down. Like, they are. It doesn't hold back from showing you what that looks like. It is rough. Yeah. Anyways, let's not talk about good movies. Let's talk about again, On Deadly Ground's a weird movie. On Deadly Ground's a movie that I wouldn't consider good, but I do consider a good time. If that makes sense.
Yes. I tried to get Adrian to come down and watch it, but he was all like, "No way!" I'm like, "Dude, what do you have against Steven Seagal?" He goes, "He's not good." I go, "That's the point."
No, you shut your mouth, Adrian. Steven
Well, I think
Seagal, yeah.
and I was when I was watching this, I think Christy had just come home from no, not work. We just got done with dinner, and she was getting ready to do send out a couple of emails or something for work. And I said, oh, so you're gonna sit down here with me and watch on Deadly Ground? And she's like, do I have to? I said, well, you
No.
can go upstairs. She sat down there and she watched half of it with me. She's just I could see her over there in the corner. She's got a roll in her eyes and a lot of it. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's the typical reaction to a Steven Seagal movie.
Well, that is a good segue into talking about reactions to Steven Seagal movies, because on the other side of this dance break we're about to take, we are going to come back and I'm going to pull up a couple of the Rotten Tomatoes reviews and see what they scored it, and we will discuss it. And we will see you on the other side of our Q106.5 dance break.
Cover the legendary Q106.5 in your car, on your smart speaker, on your phone. Browse to Q1065.com. 80s, 90s. This is a radio station with a vibe. Download our app or listen online. Search at Q1065 Radio on social media. The Q is your favorite radio station. Discover Q106.5 and hear the 80s and 90s hits on the radio station with personality. Q106.5.
All right. If you're
I like that beat.
Yeah, man. Our boy Rob over at Q106.5 is the best. If you're not checking out Q106.5, do it. There's a Q106.5 app. You can go to Q1065.com. Again, I know we're partners with him, so it sounds like I'm just absolutely shilling for that. And I am. I love Q1. I legitimately love Q106.5. So if you like 80s and 90s, do it.
I think before we get to the reviews, we got to talk about a couple of things here. Number one is that stash of his armament stash and all those explosives he has in the side of that mountain.
It's pretty super sweet.
How do you amass that kind of stuff?
No further questions, my friend. No further
questions. And some of R. Lee Ermey's lines. Oh, let's see. Where is it? Yeah. Forrest Taft is the patron saint of the impossible.
Oh yeah, he had some lines. I remember now.
Where is it?
Oh yeah, it was way over the top. It was way over the top.
Oh, here it is. We are dealing with the professor. This man is not a student. They call this guy in to train the troops. He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop him in the Arctic Circle in a bikini underwear, and he would show up at your pool with a fistful of pesos. Like, what is that supposed to mean?
I remember hearing those again. Oh, man.
And Billy Bob Thornton's lines about you just out of nowhere where they're standing there waiting for Seagal to come at him. It's like, what do you think? Stock in or out? I don't think it's going to make a difference. The other guy says, well, when the stock is out, I feel like a pussy. When it's in, it feels meaner. When I kill that SOB, I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel solid. What? What in the world?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I noticed those lines as well. It's like
I did like all the fight sequences in the oil rig, but I did have to laugh though when he says he's gonna go, I think, disable or what is it, he said a bomb or something with the generator, and he goes into that generator room, and I'm looking at that going, that's a Caterpillar gen set. I know that because I used to work for him. He goes up and he quote unquote punctures the fuel line. And I looked at that thinking, don't think that's a fuel line. I think that is a coolant line.
That's why they say never watch movies that have to do with your profession.
Yeah, true.
All right, let's get to these Rotten Tomato reviews that they just pop them up on my Plex whenever I go to the main screen. So I captured a couple of them that I thought captured the spirit of the movie. And believe it or not, Chris, I have 2 bad ones and I have a good one. So let's see what we have.
Okay.
All right. First, bad one. Leonard Clady from Variety says this is a vanity production parading as a social statement. And I think we alluded to that.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. Again, there's some sort of not fit where yeah, there was a statement trying to be made, but yet at the same time it was a bit of a vanity project. Yeah. I think he's right. Next
well,
up.
okay, go for it. Yeah, go for it. We'll do this one. Yeah.
Okay, Philadelphia Inquirer, Carrie Ricky. That's two first names. It says, "What a Renaissance man that Steven Seagal." That Steven Seagal. He lumbers, he sermonizes, and he directs.
Directs and produces
and sermonizes.
Yes. Yeah, he did a lot of sermonizing in this one.
We've covered
more
that.
so than I think in his other two, where he, with the environmentalist, bent / twist to him.
Yeah, maybe he learned from this one and toned it back a bit.
That could be.
Probably. And then I got a positive one for you. Kevin Thomas from the LA Times said, although you could certainly wish that Seagal and his writers could have found less preachy ways to express themselves, On Deadly Ground is otherwise lively entertainment for action fans. And you know what? I don't disagree. I mean, basically, the guy is saying if you take out the preachiness, you have halfway decent movie, which is what we said.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we've been saying. Well, and like I showed you, what was it, a couple of weeks ago? When I found On Deadly Ground at the at my used bookstore, and I was looking inside this, and on the inside, in the dust jet, and the side of the cover, it says the best Seagal movie to date, Roger Hubert, Fort Lauderdale Sun Sentinel, and I'm thinking, did you not see Under Siege?
Marked for death.
Or marked for death. I mean, he has got others that are heads and tails above this.
But yeah, this one is tough because it's not a good movie, but it is a good time. It is tough.
Yes.
And speaking of which, we have reached a portion of the show. Well, you know what? Before we go into my list and where it's going to rank, let's rescore it. Let's do a rescore, if necessary. It currently has a 4.6 on IMDb. And Chris, what are your thoughts?
Man, like you were talking at the beginning of the episode, this is a tough one. This could go either way. At first, I was like, it deserves the 4.6 that it got. But then, as I watched it, and I'm thinking, this, I would give it a 5, and I'm not giving it a 5 for Seagal. I'm giving it a 5 because of John C. McGinley and Michael Caine's portrayal of the villains in this. That is what brings it up for me. I mean, Seagal is Seagal, and without those two guys in here, I would probably knock it down a couple of tenths of a point, but they bring it up.
All right, you're taking it to a 5 thanks to the surrounding cast, and I think you're right about that. I mean, there are some big names and some heavy hitters and some action film welcome folks around, that are in this. So, as usual, I'll be a little kinder to it than you. I will go 5.5, and I think we could have got me to a 6 or maybe even a 6.5 without the
6.5. Wow!
If it didn't have the preachiness in it. I think it could have. That last 7 minutes hurt it bad, and that's just the worst too, because it's the last thing you remember when you're walking out of the theater. It was like
that. That's true. That's true. So, I didn't think of that. You're right. You don't put that at the end. You're ending on kind of a downer.
Yeah, and it just somehow doesn't fit Steven Seagal's persona. It feels fake, even if he means it. I'm not going to cast aspersions on the man. It just comes off that way. I don't know, just doesn't square up quite right. But yeah. All right. Well, let's go to the ranking sheet. All right. As of last episode, where we covered, what did we cover last episode? Was last episode
Rotor,
whatever you want to pronounce
Rotor, whatever, however you want to pronounce it.
We are almost done with season 2, by the way. This is episode 8. We have 2 more after this. I'll remind everybody that the champion from season 1 got to carry over. And the champion from season 1 was Jaws 3. So we got to carry over. So it is on the list. So even though this is season 8, we're going to end up with 9 movies on the list in just a moment. Let's go through a recap. At number 8, at the very bottom, I have Rotor. which shoots way up if you watch the Riff Tracks version. At number 7, I have Carnosaur. At number 6, I have the Sherlock Holmes Bonkers one from 2010. I think it was a Sci-Fi Channel thing. At number 5, I have Assassin from 1985 with Robert Conrad. Number 4 was the surprisingly entertaining Santa Jaws. Number 3, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Sylvester Stallone classic. At number 2 is The Champion from season 1, Jaws 3, and it was unseated by my unapologetic appreciation of the bizarreness that is Batman and Robin from 1997, sitting in the number 1 spot right now. Okay. I had a hard time figuring out where On Deadly Ground goes. Because if you want to look at On Deadly Ground through the lens of it's a bad movie, you can, and you can destroy it. If you want to look at it through the lens that it's kind of a fun movie and it's a good time, you can, and it helps. Mm-hmm. I'm more in the latter camp because that's how I judge movies. Like, what was my experience with it? Like, and it's a good time. So I had a tough time on this one, and
I'm curious to see where you put this.
You know what? Tell me where you're putting where you put it.
Oh man,
it's tough.
It's it's going middle of the pack. It's right now I'm going to put it at number 5, right under Santa Jaws.
You're going to put it right under Santa Jaws?
I'm going to put it under Santa Jaws because I thought Santa Jaws it had just a little more playfulness to it.
Okay, we are very close. Here's my updated. I have it at number 6.
Oh, you put it at 6.
Yeah, I at the end of the day, I thought the Robert Conrad assassin with the Terminator-y kind of robot thing was just a good time, and it wasn't as preachy, right? So it's almost like the same movie where it's a good. It's not a great movie, but it's a good time. Yeah, but it doesn't have the preachiness factor. So that's why I have On Deadly Ground coming in at number 6, just under Assassin, just ahead of the bonkers Sherlock Holmes from 2010. That's where I'm going to put it. It was a tough one, man, because there's parts of it that I was like, man, this could go all the way to number 1. It's so much fun to watch. And then there's parts of it like,
I don't know if I would put it all the way to number 1. I mean, you're not getting better than Jaws 3 or Batman and Robin.
all right, fine.
Not that one. Come on, man.
But there we have it. It is coming in at number 6. We have 2 more films left in the season. I don't know what they're going to be yet. Once Chris and I get off of this live stream, we're going to talk about whatever we're going to do for next month. And we'll let you guys know. We'll tease it on social media. But yeah, that is pretty much Steven Seagal's On Deadly Ground 1994, done and dusted at 4.6 on IMDb, a 5.0 according to Chris, and a 5.5 according to Jarrod. That's where we're at. Any final thoughts, Chris, before we depart?
I've got none. I got nothing.
All right. I don't have much for you guys either. So thank you guys for being here. Everybody that stopped in to take a look. We appreciate you. Our comment section, which is pretty much held up by Kathleen. We appreciate you skipping that nap to talk On Deadly Ground with us. She's probably back asleep by now.
Yeah, she hasn't said anything for a while, so
we lost her. But that's quite all right. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody who's listening to the podcast version as well. If you would go ahead and support all things Longbox Crusade, we'd really appreciate it. We're at Longbox Crusade on X and Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky and YouTube, and you name it. You go look up Longbox Crusade, you're going to find it. We'd appreciate a like, a subscribe, and all that jazz. We just we appreciate every time you guys help us out with that kind of thing. If you want to chat with us personally, we'll start with Chris. Chris, where can people chat with you online?
Find me at X on X at Black Belt X21.
And I am on X, Facebook, and Instagram. It is at Yard Sale Artist. No matter where you look, it is at Yard Sale Artist. Stop by, say hello. And Chris and I will be back with some questionable content next month. The first Sunday of the month at 3:30 p.m. Central Time is when we do the live stream versions. If you want to get in and chat with us and have a good time, we're always happy to see you in our chat. But until next time, this has been Best Under 5, and it is rated B for bye.